Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers, please come in close, inshallah. Just get close to each other. It's the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's such that we get close when we sit in gatherings. Before we start the lecture for today, inshallah, I wanted to share an insight with you guys with regards to something that I was reflecting over the last couple of days. And I think it's important that we talk about this issue. So, one of the things that this ummah has been praised for is the fact that this is an ummah that gives da'wah. We command to the good and we prohibit the evil. And when Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu was talking to the people and he mentioned this ayah, he said, the khayriyah of this ummah, the goodness of this ummah, and the amazing qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala attributed to this ummah was based on the fact that it's an ummah that calls to the good and it prohibits the evil. So this is something really amazing. You know, we should be an ummah that's giving da'wah. And we know that the previous nations, such as Banu Israel, the disbelievers from amongst the children of Israel, they were rebuked and they were cursed. لُعِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِن بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ. That the people from that nation who were disbelievers were cursed. عَلَى لِسَانِ دَاوُودَ وَعِيسَى بْنِ مَرْيَمَ. They were cursed on the tongue of their prophets, Jesus and David. Why? Allah mentioned because they never used to prohibit the people from evil. People would do evil and they would not stop doing that evil. They would not stop them, they would just let them carry on doing that evil. And because of that, the whole nation was, those disbelievers from that nation, they were all cursed. So, remaining silent when things are going wrong is not something that is praiseworthy in any capacity. It's something that we should take a stand against when we see evil, and the greatest evil is shirk. So we should prohibit it. And the greatest good is the opposite of that, which is tawheed, which is what we should call to. And then the second greatest evil is bid'ah, so we should prohibit that. And then the opposite of that, which would be the second greatest good, would be sunnah. And then the third greatest evil would be just sins, general major sins. I mean, after shirk and bid'ah, what's left? It's just sins that people do. Music, free mixing, murder, riba, lying, all this. And then the opposite to that would be the third greatest good which you can come on to, which is the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jalla. So this is something praiseworthy. And we need to do it. And we need to equip ourselves with the tools to be able to give da'wah. But that's not the topic that I wanted to address with you guys today. That's just an introduction to show you that I'm not a person who is discouraging people from doing da'wah. We want people to do it. The khayriyah of this ummah is conditioned to that. But the reality of the matter is that not every single person can give da'wah. And not every person should be giving da'wah. In fact, for some people, it could be haram for them to give da'wah. And where am I getting this from? I'm getting it from the Quran and the Sunnah. Da'wah is something that requires certain qualities and certain characteristics. From those characteristics, the one that I want to focus on today, very briefly, is that of knowledge. In fact, it's not just any form of knowledge, it's a deep insight, as Allah referred to in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet, قُل. Allah told the Prophet to say what? Say it means the Prophet is being told a command to communicate something to us, to clarify something to us. And what is it that He clarifies? He clarifies the principles and the characteristics of a da'i, someone who's giving da'wah. Allah said to him, say to them, O Muhammad, say what? هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي. The Prophet pointed, he's pointing. It's an ishara. The ishara, the pointing can be to something that's actually tangible, and it could be to something that's intangible as well, like an idea or a concept. But the Prophet ﷺ is pointing to something to show you this is a restricted thing he's pointing to. What is it? هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي. This is my path. The Prophet ﷺ is telling you his path. What is it? أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ. He's saying, I give da'wah to Allah. I call to Allah. I teach people to worship Allah alone. I don't teach them, about random crazy things here and there, and I don't talk to them about sub-branch issues. I'm teaching people worship Allah Azza wa Jalla and worship Him alone. How does He do this? Ala basira. He said, I do it upon insight. Basira is one step higher than ilm. Ilm is knowledge, basira is a very deep knowledge. He said, I do this, ana wa man ittaba'ani, and those who follow me. So if you want to be a follower of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in your da'wah, then your da'wah has to be upon knowledge. And if it's not based upon knowledge, and if you don't have prior knowledge, then my brothers and my sisters, are you following the Prophet? No, that means this is a da'wah, this bid'i. It's an innovated form of da'wah. And we've never had this epidemic ever in the past the way we have it today. We have people who are not pursuing knowledge to any satisfactory degree, and they're talking about deep concepts of the religion. And it's really, really shocking and it's really alarming, to the point where now you will have a person who can't even recite basic surahs of the Quran, surahs that kids are able to recite, surahs that we can bring kids and they'll be able to recite them with itqan, and he's out there giving da'wah. And this is the case with so many people. I spoke to a brother not too long ago who is part of a da'wah team and a da'wah organization. He mentioned, he goes, I'm shocked, there are people who keep coming and they're giving da'wah, and some of them have been doing da'wah for years, and we just recently came to know they don't even know how to read the Quran. Now we know that a person who struggles with reciting the Quran, he gets double the reward. But that's for the general mass. The da'i, why are you giving da'wah? You need to go back to the Quran. The Quran is what you're calling to at the end of the day. It's this book that you call to. If you don't know anything about it and you don't even know how to read the Quran, then why are you giving da'wah? Why are you giving da'wah? Focus on the Quran. That should be your priority. You need da'wah. You need a teacher to come and give you da'wah and teach you how to read the Quran, right? And that's just the day and age that we're living in. And people, they try to really belittle this concept of seeking knowledge, wallahi. They really do. And, I was just pondering over a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ sent a companion called Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu an to Yemen. He sent Mu'adh to Yemen and he told him to give da'wah to the people there. He said, فَلْيَكُنْ أَوَّلَ مَا تَدْعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ. Let the first thing that you give da'wah to be shahadatu an la ilaha illallah. The shahada la ilaha illallah. In other words, give da'wah so people worship Allah alone. فَإِنْهُمْ أَطَاعُوكَ لِذَلِكَ. He said, if they take that from you and they accept that from you, فَأَعْلِمْهُمْ, then educate them. Educate them. Teach. فَأَعْلِمْهُمْ, educate them, teach them. Can someone teach if he doesn't have knowledge? No, they can't teach if they don't have knowledge. So what's he teaching? أَنَّ اللَّهَ افْتَرْضَ عَلَيْهِمْ خَمْسَ صَلَوَاتٍ فِي كُلِّ يَوْمٍ وَلَيْلَةٍ. Teach them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has obliged on them and compelled upon them and obligated upon them 5 prayers in the day and the night. So now straight away, that the da'i, he needs to know tawheed, because he's calling to la ilaha illallah. He needs to know its conditions, its pillars, its meaning, its evidences. And not only that, he needs to now know the prayer, its conditions, its pillars. He needs to know, can you teach the prayer without knowing tahara? That's why every book of fiqh, it starts with tahara before the salah, because the salah is invalid without tahara. So do you know how to do ghusl? Can you teach people how to do ghusl? Can you teach people the wudu, the tayammum? Do you know the times when a person needs to do ghusl? What are the times that it becomes wajib to do ghusl? Do you know when a woman's on her period? Can you tell her why? Because it's linked to the ghusl and her impurity, her state of ritual impurity. You need to be able to tell the woman, okay, now your cycle is over. Okay, this discharge which is coming out of you is not menstrual blood. It's something else. So no worries, you can pray or whatever have you, right? So you need to be able to know all of these things. You need to know the prayer. You need to know its wajibat, its arkan, its shurut. You need to know its sunan. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, فَإِنْهُمْ أَطَاعُوكَ لِذَلِكَ. And if they take that from you, Mu'adh, and they accept that from you, فَأَعْلِمْهُمْ. Then the Prophet said, then educate them on something else. What? Teach them something else. What? أن الله افترض عليهم صدقة تؤخذ من أغنيائهم فترد على فقرائهم. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has compelled upon them and obligated upon them and ordained for them that they give a charity, which is a zakat. تُؤْخَذُ مِنْ أَغْنِيَائِهِمْ. It's taken from their rich, فَتُرَدُّ عَلَى فُقَرَائِهِمْ, and it's returned back to the poor, to their poor. So in the ahkam of the zakat, do we know what the hawl is? Do we know what the nisab is? Do we know what the mawani' of zakat are? If we don't even know these terms, and we're thinking about embarking upon giving da'wah, it's a bit problematic. Because we've got a craze of youngsters who just want to make an Instagram account, want to make a YouTube account, and they just want to be du'at now, which is amazing. But this is what the da'i does. He gives da'wah to tawheed first, then he teaches the prayer, and then he teaches zakat. This is the order. This is what your path is. So how can we be jumping into giving da'wah and we don't have this? It's a problem, right? And you know, something else that I pondered on this hadith, which is so deep, is that there were so many companions that the Prophet ﷺ could have sent, but he only sent Mu'adh. Not that he sent others, but I'm talking about this hadith is linking to Mu'adh being from those who he sent to give da'wah to the people. And who was Mu'adh? In Sunan al-Tirmidhi, or Jami' al-Tirmidhi, the Prophet ﷺ described Mu'adh as the most knowledgeable in this ummah when it comes to halal and haram. Mu'adh was the most knowledgeable from the ummah when it came to halal and haram. So he was an alim, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ sent him. The Prophet ﷺ also sent Ali radiallahu anhu. He said, "Unfud ala rizqika hatta tanzila bisahatihim." Go to the people of Khaybar, go to the Jews of Khaybar until you reach them. When you reach them, ثم دعوهم إلى الإسلام. Give them da'wah to Islam. وأخبرهم بما يجب عليهم من حق الله تعالى فيه. And then inform them of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made obligatory upon them. So then straight away, it's not just giving them da'wah. Da'wah necessitates. People think da'wah is only to the non-Muslims. Brothers, da'wah here, why is the Prophet teaching them salah and zakat? He's telling them, teach them salah and zakat. They've already accepted Islam because it's still a form of da'wah. It's still a form of da'wah even to the Muslims. So what is informing them about the obligations upon them? The salah, the zakat, the fasting, the hajj, the hijab, and all of these things, the people they need to know. And nowadays you have a people who don't know any of these things and they don't want to give time to any of these things and they're going to it. And again, look, why did the Prophet choose Ali? Because Ali radiallahu anhu was from the most knowledgeable of the men at that time. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not picking random people to just go do this call. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was picking people that are knowledgeable. So the reason I'm saying this is not to discourage anyone from giving da'wah, but rather it's to encourage you onto the way to do da'wah correctly. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying do it. But do it in the right way. Come to class, seek knowledge, learn, understand. There's a confusion that some people have around the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. The Prophet ﷺ said, convey from me, even if it's just one verse. So people say, look, I don't have to be a scholar. The Prophet said, convey from me, even if it's a verse. I know 10 verses, I'm just conveying it. And we say, Barakallahu feek, you're conflating tabligh, because the Prophet said, balligh, which is tabligh, which means to convey. You're conflating tabligh and da'wah, which is to call. What's the difference? Tabligh means you copy and paste. Tabligh means copy and paste. You hear an ayah, you hear قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. So you go and you say, Allah said, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. You don't add, you don't translate, you don't explain, you don't give no analogies, you just convey. If you hear someone say, this is what the ayah means, you convey word for word. If you have a bad memory, then you're not conveying because you're chopping and changing, you're adding things, you're taking things out, right? So conveyance means literally you copy and paste, you don't add a word and you don't subtract a word. Da'wah, however, is more. Da'wah is teaching, it's educating, it's extra points are being added on, and explanations are being given, and education is happening. Does that make sense? So the people who say, look, I'm just conveying, I'm ignorant, he's pleased with his ignorance, he doesn't want to study, but he wants to give da'wah, and he uses this hadith, he says, look, I'm just conveying. Wallahi, he's lying to himself, he's not conveying. He's doing more than conveying. He's jumping on, Instagram Live, Snapchat. He's sharing his views, his opinions, his thoughts. He's giving a ta'liq and a sharh and a tafsir, and he's putting his and he's saying, I think and I believe and in my opinion. Right, that's one of the worst things for a da'i, is to say I, or for a person of knowledge to say I. Who are you? Who are you? Even the Sahaba and the Salaf wouldn't say I. Imam Ahmad would be asked the question. He would say, what did Shafi'i say? We don't say I. Who am I? I'm no one. We are people before us who we quote. That's what we do. The knowledge has already been preserved. We present what they come with. Does that make sense? So, people who use this hadith, it's just a deception, wallahi. So, give da'wah. We need to give da'wah. It's an obligation upon this ummah to give da'wah. But what comes before the da'wah is knowledge. But that doesn't mean you can sit here and think, okay, I don't want to study because, giving da'wah is too hard. Knowledge is an obligation in and within itself as well. The Prophet ﷺ said, طَلَبِ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ Muslim. Seek knowledge is obligatory upon every single Muslim. So it's not something you can escape. Seek knowledge and give da'wah. Don't abandon either of them. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, as someone who gives da'wah, I want you to go to Jannah. Now we all know that anyone who's a believer will ultimately make it to paradise or go to Jannah, right? And that's true, but what a lot of people don't realize is, what does it mean to be a believer? Is it merely just knowing La ilaha illallah? No. Is it merely just saying it? No. The Prophet ﷺ told us in an authentic hadith that anyone who knows La ilaha illallah, he has knowledge. He has ilm of La ilaha illallah. And then he dies. دخل الجنة, he will enter paradise. So you have to have knowledge of it. Knowledge of its meaning, knowledge of its pillars, knowledge of its conditions, of what it necessitates. In fact, many people don't realize, but La ilaha illallah is the foundation of the whole religion. Everything stems from it. How? Where? In what way? These are all things that you have to learn. For that reason, we have an online Islamic Studies Institute called the Knowledge College. And the very first thing that we teach on the Knowledge College is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So if you click the link below, inshallah ta'ala, check out the website. Hopefully you'll join us on the other side. And you can start studying La ilaha illallah with us. And then from that point onwards, we'll branch out to the other areas of the religion. We start on a basic level and we work our way up to the top. So hopefully you can start your journey seeking knowledge with the most important things first. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.